let's bring up the assignment. So again, we're revisiting the Hello World assignment. Now, why is this not one of the earlier assignments? Because we've got to do several things to get that mechanism. Basically, it is we walked in a trigger turn on and off a light. But to do that, we need to jump through hoops, and it's not a simple use this event in Unreal and then attach it to a light component. Again, we're also not using the level blueprint, so we don't have that access to it as well. And we also, through C++, have to set up the interaction for overlap and not overlap. We're going to use methods to start overlap and end overlap. And it's basically we're going to use the actor overlap and the actor end overlap. We're going to create a blueprint event for start and end in C++ that the child class can use. We'll actually start. We're going to work a little bit backwards. So for the sake of this lecture, again, if we go back to Unreal, I already have created the Hello Trigger class. And then if you go to, I did it in Lab 6, here is the Hello Trigger blueprint. And that's it in the world. And if we go up, you can see that it can go up. It says start BP, and then end BP, first person character. So basically, let's just jump in quickly. What this is going to look like is I have my event, start overlap, get display name of the other actor, I append start, print the string. So pretty straightforward. It's stuff you've done already. But these two events are specific to the Hello Trigger class. So I'm going to redo this entire class during the lecture right now. Let me see. Let's start. Let's get back to the editor. All right, so let's go to my tools, new C++ class, and this is going to be an actor. All right, we're just going to place something is going to be placed in the world. Again, you will Hello Trigger. I'm going to do Hello Trigger 2, just so that I've got another copy. I will create class. Actually, I'll do Hello Trigger lecture. So yeah, don't worry about the lecture portion. And for those who are following along with the video, don't put the lecture on the name. Just do Hello Trigger. So we'll create the class. Come back to Unreal. Give it a sec for Unreal to add the code to the project, and then it will compile. Too many tabs open. Close. And then I just want to go in Hello Trigger lecture.cpp. Okay, cool. So here is so let's go over the first part that we would want. Let's go look at Hello Trigger.h. Basically there's 4 things that you are going to add in the .h. We're going to add basically the notify actor. So this is the notify actor begin overlap. So this is the begin overlap, end overlap events effectively. They are from the actor class, and we need to override them from the actor class. And then we're going to create 2 new functions, on start overlap and on end overlap, And these are going to be blueprint. I made these as blueprint implementable events. What this means is basically there's no code here in C++. And that's why I made them implementable events. So let's go back to your assignment. So let's go over. There is the begin actor event. I'm sorry, begin overlap event, I should say. And I've literally given you the documentation. Here is under a actor, notify actor, begin overlap. When this overlaps another actor, for example, a player walking into a trigger. Here it's part of the actor class. Here's the editor, but basically here is the line of code you need. Virtual void, notify, actor, begin overlap, a actor, other actor. Again, we need to override it. So, I mean, you could literally copy this line of code. I know it's formatted a little weirdly, but we can go to Visual Studio, go to our .h. I'm just going to do these under tick. So I'll reformat this to be more in line. Again, here is the begin actor overlap. We will go again right away, and then actor end. Now it's yelling about this because we haven't written the actual function for it. Again, the other two functions that we want. Let's go back to our definition, project definition. We have an on-start overlap and on-end overlap function that we want to write. And these will be, and these are methods in our class. We'll just grab these right now. And let's clean up the code just. So, I mean, they're going to be, it's going to be a void function. For our sake, we're just going to do a actor, we'll just do the same as the overlap function. I'll make this a void function as well. And again, these, because we're adding these here, we're going to set these. They're not virtual because they're events. Now they're yelling about this because again, it's expecting that in the CPP that we would have a code structure for that. But basically, these are the four methods that we need to add to the class. Now, the one thing that we need to do. Again, let's jump back to our definition. I've given overlap. I've shown you, again, I'll give you an example from the Ribeiro blueprints of code overlap, so we'll just jump here just quickly. What I'm pointing out is, hey, here is virtual void. This is basically, in this case, do I need to set? Yeah, I do. So here is basically the begin overlap, and then down here, where is it? Begin play in it. Here they're showing begin actor overlap, a actor, other actor. So it's, and this is from he's playing with the coin collection game. And this is basically, it's basically telling, the game mode that an item was collected and it's destroying it. So if you guys were wondering, if you want to destroy the object, just destroy. This is one of those weird things going on, is that, again, if you remember that when you collect an item, it spawns another one in the world. And this makes more sense than the blueprint class to a certain extent. So let's move on. Let's move on. Let's get back to our code. So we do need to create in our, so before we go, so we know what the C++ sides of things. Before we go on, we do need to do a U function. And I'm going to go back to our definition, Basically, I've again shown you the documentation for the events. The part that is all the way down here, and unfortunately, I don't have an example code. So there's blueprint implemental event and blueprint native event. So again, I'm going to use the blueprint implemental event because basically this is a way to allow native function to call up into blueprints, but there's no function in native in the code. Whereas blueprint native event basically is that there's a native function that's being called, which can be overridden in blueprint. I'm gonna again just use blueprint implemental event, and I'm just gonna basically drop that in, and I'll copy this over, and I'll add that. All right. I'm going to go over to the CPP side just quickly. I'm going to grab the function. And I'm basically going to, again, attach the and I'm just going to copy this right over and just change this from begin to end. All right, we'll come back to these again. I just want to have these here so that our code can compile. We'll come back here at one point. There's two things that we have to do here to get everything up and running correctly. We're going to have to come back here and write some more code. Let's take where we've got right now with basically these functions here and these all in play. Let's go to Unreal. Excuse me, and let's compile. So the next thing that we're going to do, so before we go back and finish all the code in the C++ side, let's set up the new blueprint class. And we're actually going to go to hello trigger lecture. So this is the class. So we'll come back, finish C++ code, and everything will be in play. All right. So this is hello trigger lecture BP. So again, we're going with the principle that we're going to write some solid code. We're going to write code in C++ that is foundational, and then move on and have that basically have blueprint classes that finish it. So let's go in. The two things that, and let me grab the. So there are two things we're going to do right now, right away. First, we're going to set, and this is we're going to set a cube here. Now, you can do this in C++ code, and it'll be extra credit that you do. I'm going to set this to 0.2. So basically, I've got this cube half in the ground, half above the ground. I'm going to go to my scene, let me go. Yeah, for our purposes, I'm going to go to collision presets here. I'm going to set the cube to be a trigger. And generate. I'll make sure I'm generating overlaps anyways. Yeah. Okay. So that's what I need to do here. I'm going to compile, and then I'm going to go to my event graph. So I'm actually going to go and build the blueprint up front first. So we're going to right click. I'm going to go on. What did I call them? There we go. Event on start overlap. And then I'll go grab on end overlap. So again, these are the events that I've created. And again, for our purposes right now, basically we're going to get display name, pen. We're going to switch it to the B. I'll break this link. This will be start. And I'll just do a print. And for our, basically this test, this is our test bed at the moment to make sure that this is all working. This is all that we're going to do right now in the blueprint. I'm basically going to grab all of these guys and just copy paste. I'll plug in the actor here. This will be end. And now I'll just plug into the print. A little more room so you can see. And that's literally for our first iteration of our class. This is all we're going to do. That's all we need to do. Just make sure that everything that we're doing is set up. All right, I'll compile. I will then over here drop this into the world. Where is it? Where did I just move it to? Oh, okay. It's probably a bigger number than I realized. Yeah, okay. So I'll do 2,000, 500. There we go. Okay. Let me just grab these and move these out of the way for right now. And I'll grab you and there we go. Okay. So here is, just for the sake of argument on this cube, materials, basic shape, we'll just make, so we have a difference between these two. All right. I'm gonna make sure I save everything. So right now, again, if I go and press play, again, this is not working just yet because, again, you know, this one is working, but this one's not because we haven't connected the code. So, all right. So this is the setup for the blueprint class. All right, let's go back and let's look at what we want to do. So and I'm literally going to jump over to what we've done in CPP. I'm basically doing a log, and then I'm calling the actor. So let's start with the log. And then I'm going to copy the log temps because I'm going to go down. So when I go back, I'm going to, let's bring up my output log. Let's clear the log. Press play. Let's bring up the output log. We'll just filter for log temps. So again, this other object had a begin play on it. So if we go over it, you can see, go back to the log. Oh, hold on a sec. Make sure this is saved. Let's compile. So we'll go in, you can see, we'll go back to, output log. And you can see begin play, again, ignore those are the other object, but here's begin overlap and overlap. And just so we know that this is object, no, lecture C++. We'll just add this to this right here, so we know that it's coming from this object specifically. We'll save, go back to Unreal, compile. I'll run over it, run out of it, go to the log, and you can see that again, specifically that object. All right, the last thing that we need to do in CP, the code here. Again, we created these functions right here. They're blueprint implements. All we need to do, again, code compiled perfectly fine. because of this U function being a macro, it basically created a version of the function for us to code, so we didn't have to do it. Cool. All we have to do right now is basically, I'm going to just grab on start overlap actor. I literally just have to drop in right here, and I'm just going to pass the other actor reference. And I know this is a very simple example, but it's supposed to. It's the idea. I'm showing you the fundamentals of, hey, here in C++, we can call an event in Blueprint for, hey designer, go, this event happened, do what you need to do. And again, down here, this is not, it's basically not on start overlap, it's going to be on end overlap. And that's literally what your code's going to look like for this class. We'll go back. Let's go back to Unreal. Let's compile the code. I'm actually going to go back into the lecture blueprint, and I'm going to do BP. I'm going to put BP in front of these. And making sure I have at least one space at the end of this. All right, I'll compile here, and then we'll go back to the map, and then you'll see up here, and start, BP first person character, and that's the pawn that I'm using. So some of you can do this with the rolling pawn. The collision pawn from the previous lab. If you want to use that, you could use the previous lab if you want. Again, I'm in first person. You could be in third person. So the lab really doesn't really matter too much. It's basically you've got something that moves over this and works with it. Now, again, we're dealing with a pawn that is basically, again, small collision area. Is the one thing that's one thing of concern. We can make this bigger. If we wanted to, like, hey, have let's actually let's make a so I'm just going to go to the hello trigger now. I'll keep using the lecture. Yeah, I'm just going to jump to the hello trigger one. So it's same functionality basically. Hello trigger, select that. So we'll call this the big trigger. And then we're going to go with, again, I'm going to add a cube. Again, point 2. And we'll go to collisions, and we'll just make sure that they are generating the overlap. And then this is set to trigger. I'm also going to add a box collider. And then we know, let me see. We know that the box dent needs to be 50 across the board. And we're gonna make this not just 50. We'll do, so we know that it needs to be 300 up, but we'll go even bigger. Let's say 250. So 1300 is going to be where it's going to end up. So again, the idea here is that we've got something that's going to go through it. So the path runner is what we want to look at going through here. So we'll compile. Before we compile, I'm going to make. Now I made this child of the cube. Let's go to the default scene root. Let's attach. And so again, when we did the box dent, same values, but basically came in and only needed to only go to 260. So 10 off the ground, basically. So that makes more, this makes the values here make more sense. I'm going to look at the cube. I'm going to basically change the material and make this green. And then for the argument, for it to do something else, I'm just going to add a light component. And it will just be a point light. And we'll do 2,000. No, 200. I'll do 400. There we go. And we'll just do the light color. We'll do red just for the sake of having a contrast. So compile. All right. So let's go into the map. Here's the BigTrigger. Hello, are you not dropping the rope? Oh, there we go. All right, so I'm going to grab this object right here, and we're going to make sure that it is at throwaway, so 1750. And we'll make sure this object is at 1750. So we know that this guy needs to be at 1750 as well. I'm going to pull him back so he's in between. And I'm just going to make this bigger. Okay. Let's just go in to, just press play. And okay, yeah, there you can see the red shine right there. So that's a let's make this easier to see type scenario. This is a directional light. I'm just gonna. There we go. Just drop it by a third. Actually, you can do 0.5. There we go. I'm going to go to the light itself, and I am going to go to the point light. And I'm just going to double it. Okay. Let's go back to the BigTrigger. We'll click on the cube, not the point light. Here we go. And let's go to our event graph. And again, we're just going to go on start overlap, on end overlap. I am going to get begin play as well. So here is point light. Yeah, this is a there you go. Set visibility. So these guys are going to just plug into here. So no visibility is going to be turned off. I'm going to grab, again, these two nodes. There you go. So basically, I've now set that up. So we'll compile. We'll go into the map. We can press play. And let's go back to BigTrigger one more time. Hold on a sec. I've got to just make sure the box. Just check collision. And here it is again. Begin dynamic overlap. Let's set this to trigger, and make sure this is hitting overlap events, as well as this is as well. Let's make sure this is the whole object is setting overlap events. So a blueprint. We can go back in, press play. Why is it not? What's up?
Does your player character have a trigger?
Yeah, it does. I mean, this is using the same class. Why is it? I know what I did wrong. I didn't check on new visibility. Lol, that's my, again, these are the little things that will happen to you. This is why you test. And then, there we go, you can see that, there it goes, that's working. And it should go through. Did it not recognize? Wonder why it didn't recognize the other. I'm gonna have to go back and look at. I'm gonna go back and look at why that didn't work with the Pathfinder, but it did work with us, and that's the point I was getting across. It's probably a setting that I haven't got, but the idea here is that here is a second version of that trigger. I've added to it, I've got it up and running. Yeah, and that's pretty much what this assignment is asking to do is basically, I mean, I was trying to play with the Pathfinder. That's not part of the assignment. Just you walking into the trigger and turning on the light, that is part of the assignment. That is actually to do basically put something in the console, make sure everything's working, and then do another version where you turn on and turn off the light. Again, this is a low-hanging fruit type of lab, but it is got a few things that you need to jump through hoops to do in order to get this done. And the idea, again, this is not supposed to be a very hard lab. Again, a lot of you, there's several of you who are behind at the moment. That's okay. But this is supposed to be not a very hard lab. Particularly, we're going into spring break next week, so it's something that you can do pretty quickly, pretty straightforward. Again, let's just review the code just quickly. In our in the .h file, we just needed 4 functions we needed to add. The function definitions for for notify actor begin overlap, notify actor end overlap, and then our methods, our events, which we called on start overlap, on end overlap. And these basically we just need to tag as blueprint implementable events. And then in the CPV side of things, we only had to do the override the on actor begin overlap event, actor end overlap events. Again, they take taking a pointer of a actor, which we called other actor, which we just passed to, the way we wrote it, we just passed it to the end overlap and the begin overlap function that we have. And for our purposes, that's what, blueprint, the blueprint side it doesn't have to have that, but it was useful to pass that information to our blueprint version of the event. I mean, and we can, again, pass whatever we want to blueprint via the parameters of the function. So if we wanted a blueprint event that has, an actor and a value and another value, a vector, we can. I'm just showing you that, hey, we can just pass the actor. And that's literally all the code that we need to write. Everything else is just getting work up and running in Blueprint. And the idea here is that we have some fundamental class that we're writing in the C++ side. And then the Blueprint side, we're basically is just taking that code and implementing it as the actual entity in game. Are any questions about this particular lab?
Are those notify actor begin overlaps built-in functions like tick and?
Yeah. Well, these are, so don't think of built-in. So think less. So in Unity we have what we would call the built-in timing functions. These are more. This is now less, think of them less as built-in as they are a part of the class. Yeah, so this is more nomenclature I'm trying to get across. They are part of the class. So the actor, can tick. Yeah, these are all part of the actor class itself, and we're inheriting directly from actor for our C++ class.
So that means we can't just make it a blueprint event? Just
No, they already have, well, the thing is, there's, so, there's a blueprint version of these events. Yeah, there's Unreal stuff. What we're doing is, again, I'm showing this as an example of, hey, there is already a notify, there's already a actor end overlap event. They already exist. The thing is, what we're doing is we're showing you, hey, we're jumping through hoops here. All right, like if you were gonna, remember we built this in the previous class, we used those events. What we're doing is I'm basically setting up a scenario where we're basically re-implementing the wheel.
Yeah.
This particular implementation is not necessarily what you would write code, but the idea here is I'm showing you two things. A, how do I do the collision, the begin overlap, end overlap? That's the first piece. The next piece that we're playing with is the getting it back to blueprint. All right, and then showing you the blueprint events. Again, we've seen them again. I've had you create them before, but now I'm having you create them in a context. This is not necessarily how you would write your code. In fact, if you were setting something like this, again, you'd probably just do all blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Now, but here we're now dealing with we're building a core class within our game. And again, this is the real question. What you're getting at is who's doing what and why. There is a, again, getting back, there is a blueprint event already built for what we're doing here. What I'm showing you is trying to show, hey, here's the systems for overlapping, begin overlap, end overlap.
So those two functions are just to get it to the C++ side.
Yeah, the C++ is basically doing the collision side. And then what we're doing is basically, for the sake of showing that the collisions are working, we made blueprint events and made a blueprint class. And again, we did the log right here, but this is now kicking it off into blueprint, so it can do, so that we have something for it to do. We went into the trigger, turned on and off the light. We went into the trigger and printed out our class name. And it's not like this is like, again, the idea here is showing you the low-hanging fruit, the Lego, basically trying to show you the Lego pieces. Like, would you write this code, to this be in production? No. But you would do something like this in production, in your game. Again, the example, if you go back to the Romero blueprint code, they're in the middle of the coin collection game. And so, like, one of the things that we could have done is we created, again, if you remember back to that lab, we created a base class for all the collectibles.
And it just spawns it.
Yeah, well, the idea here is that that base class is not a blueprint, but instead a C++ class. And that's where, so instead of having a base collectible blueprint class, we would have a base collectible C++ class instead. And that's, so a lot of the code that we had done in that class, we could have moved down. When we mean down, we move into C++. Basically, the idea is that your blueprint class is sitting on top of. So that's the up-down analogy we're using here.
Mm-hmm.
So we're moving it from blueprint, code that we would have done, that we did in blueprint, moving into a C++ instead. And that's the goal. This is what these assignments are going. Like, you've done this in blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do a version of it in C++ now, so that you understand. Again, the idea is that you understand the mechanics of what's going on. Now we're just seeing how they're implemented in the C++ side, as opposed to just pure blueprint. And again, the goal here is, again, enable you to not write everything in C++. I mean, you could have set like the cube and its collision. That you've seen that code a couple times already, and that code's out there. It's not hard to go grab. The goal was basically, and that's extra credit. If you want to do like that, basically setting up the cube and setting its profile and all of that, that's cool. You can do that in C++ code. Is it worth it? It's a question, but but to know how to do that and do that, that's extra credit. And I did give people extra credit in the Possession Lab, who I know they did. Was it Possession Lab? One of the previous labs, I basically said you could set all this up in C++, and if you do, hooray for you! I will give you extra credit for doing that, for knowing how to do that. And someone did get extra credit for doing that. So there is room here for extra credit in the C++ side. It's one of those, again, why is extra credit? Because the goal of this class is to teach you the C++ side of the engine, but it's in conjunction with the blueprint. That you've got structural classes that are going to be the core pieces of your game. But they're core like the core mechanics of your game should be in C++, and then you extend those core pieces to individual blueprints. So like again, a chess game, we could implement all the moves in C++, and then have an enum to say which piece it is, and based on enum, it knows what type of move it's going to use. And that's one way to go about, and then we would implement each of the pieces individually in Blueprint effectively. They're all pieces of the board. They just which color, basically it'd be which color and which. I mean, it's two units. It's which piece type and which color are you of.
You could probably even set up the light with just C++, right?
You could, but that would be another class. So if you're going to do it that way, you would have to implement another. You would have to inherit from another class.
You can't just inherit
no, you can. Yeah, let's go back. Let's just the sake of argument. Let's go to tools, C++, new class. It is going to be an actor. Actually,
I just derive it from the hello trigger.
yeah. Where is? Oh, here we go. Here's all classes. It's a little different in this. So hello. Yeah. So I mean, we can inherit from hello trigger. And I know, like for example, for Unreal Tournament specifically, if we were building weapons in a game like that, we would have a weapon class, and then we would have like say, let's say we're doing a pistol as our primary weapon. That would be a class. The rocket launcher would be another version. The shotgun would be another C++ class, where we would be implementing, the base functionality of those weapons, and we could go in and actually we could implement the whole weapon in C++. But like, we could go into Blueprint and then have Blueprint variations. And this is one of those. Skins become an interesting proposition. Are they just materials? Or is it a model change? Is it, basically if you have a skin of a particular weapon, is it a model change? Is it a material change? Animation changes as well. Are those things that are properties of that skin?
Is that easier to set up in C++, or is it just more?
I would. It's one of those. It can get hairy at times because, like, if you look at a game like the Finals, they have like a pea shooter essentially, like a little machine gun, a pea shooter, and one of the skins it has is one of the skins that weapon has is basically puts a little receipt printer on the side, and as you kill people, it prints out a receipt. Yeah, you get a receipt for your kill. Literally a receipt for the kill. Yeah. And again, we're talking about a game that's in Unreal Engine, and that basically they've they've set up a system where when you kill something, your player character gets an event called on it.
Mine does?
So let's say I kill you, Matt. My player character gets an event called on it because I killed. It's a killed other player event essentially, and that one of the things that player does is it goes to it then goes to the weapon you're using, and then says, hey, do you have a player killed event?
Wouldn't I be firing the event towards the weapon?
No, I'm killing you in this case. I'm holding the weapon. I'm killing you. You
When I
die. So you die. Yeah. So the event is you've died. But because, again, remember with Unreal, Unreal is set up where it knows who is credited for the kill. Remember, there's an instigator value. It's a control. Who's the other controller? So my controller goes, oh, I'm credited for the kill. And it'll probably go, the sequence is, okay, player character, we've been credited for a kill. What do you do? Or do you do anything? The weapon would be then, because the scenario is the weapon is attached to your player, to your pawn. So your pawn gets the on. So this is something they've done. They've created an event on the pawn, and the pawn then looks at the weapon and says, basically, it's there to pass on to its weapon, saying there's a death kill event. We've killed other player, and that's what kicks off the receipt. And again, it's literally passing all the information from the fact that I killed you. It passes that on, and they set it up in the receipt to be printed out, which is goofy as all heck, but again, that's the finals for you. Yeah, good. Finals is hilariously goofy at times. It is serious enough, but not serious enough. It doesn't take itself so seriously that, and this is the 60s Batman. If you've watched any of the original Iron Chef shows, particularly the Japanese Iron Chef shows, I've been watching a show called The Traitors, which is extremely campy, and it doesn't take itself. It takes inside the world of the show. It takes itself completely serious, but when you step out from an outside viewer, it's not taking itself seriously at all.
Why is that?
Why? Because it's campy. Because that's the fun of the show. Is that there's this passage, and that's the magic of these types of shows, is that within their little universe, this is extremely serious and a big deal, and it's not. That's the part of the joke. Like Batman, Robin in that particular show was holy something Batman, over and over again. Batman has something, the one that people get is the bat shark repellent spray is the one that comes up as the example of the Batman happens to the bat shark repellent. Yeah, stupid. Yeah, serious, and they play it seriously within the world, but they are not serious. It's not serious at all, and it's part of the charm of these shows. But the idea here is getting that, and it's you have to sit down. This is not, what we've just been talking about right now. It's not part of the scope of this class. In fact, it's another class where we talk about this. The Game and Simulation 2 class is where we talk more about this.
Materials and...
Not the materials. We're talking about who's doing what and why. Okay. That particular question. That's not really the scope here. This is more Lego pieces. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Stop the recording and I'll upload this.